Good morning. Greetings from the dank basement. I'm Paul, your Uncle Squinty, with some good news. Yesterday I posted a video in which I expressed my concerns that it might be illegal under U.S. Postal Service regulations and federal law to mail nasal snuff to other hobbyists. A friend of ours, Kentucky Snuff, recently had 2 packages returned to him, opened, with a note saying that he was not permitted to send nasal snuff through the mail. That is not correct by the United States Postal Service's own regulations. And we'll talk about that as soon as I make 2 very important comments. First of all, and this is very important, I am not an attorney, lawyer. I am qualified neither legally nor ethically to dispense legal advice. Take this for what it's worth. It's information that I've learned over the past 24 hours of trying to research this. And by the way, a special thanks to Scott. I don't know your real screen name, so I'm not going to reveal your whole name, but Scott sent me the links, which I've posted below in the bucket, so you can do a little research for yourself. Secondly, I'd like to address a couple of comments made by someone who took issue with some of my statements regarding President Obama and so on. First of all, sir, Mr. Obama did author, well, he didn't author, he suggested, promoted, and then signed into law the Prevent Access to Cigarettes by Teenagers Act, which severely restricts the ability of people to ship tobacco products through the mail and using carriers such as United Parcel, DHL, FedEx, and so on. It was his idea and his signature. Therefore, I do not think it's unreasonable for me to lay responsibility for the enactment of that law at our president's feet. Secondly, when I said I did not want comments, and actually I did not say that, what I said was, please do not speculate in the comments section. Do not post about the law if you have no knowledge of the law. Don't guess, don't BS, don't post bad information. I never once in my video said that you were not free to comment, nor did I say that I did not want comments regarding my politics. That's your right under the First Amendment. I love a good discussion. If you've got facts and you can discuss reasonably without getting aggressive and disrespectful, I will promise to do the same, and we can have a nice discussion about it. Fair enough? Thirdly, you are factually only partially correct. You stated that with the Patriot Act of 2003, citizens unanimously traded liberty for safety. Couple of problems with that. The first Patriot Act was actually enacted within a couple of weeks of the September 11th, 2001 disaster, not 2003. The 2003 Patriot Act was Patriot Act 2, the sequel, which expanded, explained, extended, and clarified federal powers in combating terrorism. It also provided for the enactment and expansion of things like the FISA courts and more widespread wiretapping, quote unquote, i.e. listening to cell phone conversations and so on. But the law that affects most of us the most was the first Patriot Act enacted in 2001 as a response to the 9/11 tragedy. Now, the American people certainly did not unanimously, and unanimously is a very strong word, we did not unanimously give up liberty for safety. Those we elected to represent us, in my opinion, showed a lack of judgment and restraint, reacting with very strong and reasonable emotions to the attack on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, and I guess it was supposed to have been the White House. The plane crashed in Pennsylvania. That causes strong emotions even in the most logical people, and they enacted the Patriot Act because they never, and we should never, want to see an attack like that again on U.S. soil. But the American people, the electorate, did not unanimously approve that law. It was those we elected, And by the way, I do not believe that either passage, either Patriot 1 or the second Patriot Act, I don't believe even in Congress that either was passed unanimously. But I might be wrong. That's something I would have to do research on. All right, now for the good news. While it is true that the Prevent Access to Cigarettes by Teenagers Act and changes in the United States Postal Service regulations have severely restricted the ability of businesses to send tobacco to consumers, for persons to send large quantities of tobacco to each other, and so on, there is a very good, very reasonable, and very strong exemption to those rules. And that is that hobbyists are permitted to send small quantities of tobacco infrequently, and I'll explain all that in a minute, to fellow hobbyists. The only thing that isn't covered by either the PACT Act or postal regulations are cigars. No limit, send as many as you want, send a mountain of sticks if you want to, send a dozen boxes, and if they're Cubans or really, really good cigars, send them to me. All right. Let's talk about sending tobacco. First of all, there is a restriction on how you can send the package. You have to show up in person at the post office from which you want to mail the package. You cannot go to stamps.com, print up a label with postage, stick it on your package, and then notify the USPS that you want the parcel picked up at your home or place of business. You have to present it in person. And when you do that, you have to tell the clerk that under the exemptions provided by United States postal regulations for hobbyists, you are sending a small quantity of tobacco to a person who is a legal adult in their state of residence. You have to swear to it in front of the postal clerk. Now, in most places in the United States, the legal age is 18 years of age or older. But in some jurisdictions, including but not limited to Alaska, a few counties in New York, and a couple of other places, that age is 19, not 18. In fact, I believe, if I read it correctly, it's not legal to send tobacco from outside Alaska into Alaska or from outside Hawaii to Hawaii. But I could be mistaken. Check this out for yourself. Okay, so you have to present the package in person. Now, what happens if the clerk is misinformed about the regulations? Don't get in his face, please. Don't yell, don't stamp your feet, don't scream Constitution, don't slap your hand on the counter. Be polite, smile, and ask to see the postmaster. In fact, it might be a really good idea, particularly if you have a small post office, as we have here in my town, to just go and talk to the postmaster before you even try to mail the package. You can take along that link below or even print it out so you can show the postmaster that you are correct, that hobbyists can send tobacco in small quantities and infrequently to other private persons. The rules regarding businesses, sorry nicotine rush and so on, those rules still apply. But if you're sending to a fellow hobbyist, you may. But each package must contain no more than 10 ounces, English measure, 280 grams metric, of tobacco. Again, cigars are not included in this. But you can't send more than 10 ounces per package. And furthermore, you cannot send more than 10 such packages in any 30-day period. I mean, this means theoretically you could send out 120 packages or 1,200 ounces of snuff or other tobaccos. Now, the federal government defines smokeless tobacco in two categories, and that's the second link you'll see down below. They define it as snuff. Snuff is any ground, milled, or finely cut tobacco not intended to be smoked. That includes, by definition, nasal snuff, snus, dip like Copenhagen or Skoal, so on. What else would that include? I guess that would be about it for the finely ground tobaccos. And then leaf tobaccos, such as Day's Work or Red Man, any plug chaw, chewing tobacco, twists. Oh, by the way, yeah, Makla would be included in the first category of snuff. Pipe tobacco is kind of a gray area, and I didn't see anything in the regulations that specifically talk about pipe tobacco. I suspect that if it's still under 10 ounces and you only try to do it 10 times in a 30-day period, you're probably okay with pipe tobacco. And again, cigars, no limit. Just go ahead, send off tons of sticks. You can do that. Now, don't take my word for any of this. Yes, you do have to declare in person at the post office that you're sending tobacco to an adult. And it is your responsibility to find out what the laws are in the state to which you are sending the tobacco. Make sure you are not sending tobacco to someone who is legally, technically a minor. And please don't ever send tobacco to someone you know is underage. We don't need to be spreading this habit. Hell, we want more snuff for us, right? And also, it's a bad thing. Don't do it. I've had 6 or 7 requests over the last 3 years from people who say something like, I'm not legal to buy tobacco yet, but everybody around me smokes. All my friends smoke, and I don't want to smoke. I want to do something safer like nasal snuff. Will you please send me some? No, I won't, and you shouldn't either. So be careful. Remember, you can only send 10 packages, a limit of 10 packages every 30 days, and each package can't contain any more than 10 ounces or 280 grams of all combined tobacco products, excluding cigars. So, it's legal. We can trade. I can give away snuff in my contest. It's fine. And I'm glad I did the research. Special thanks to Scott for sending me the links and basically running down, defining the law for me, figuring it out. I hope it helps you. Remember, I'm not a lawyer. This isn't legal advice, and if you really want real legal advice, God knows this country has no shortage of attorneys. But you can also talk to the Postal Service. Talk to your local postmaster. He or she is probably a nice person that's just trying to stay within the law. And presenting them with the Postal Service's own regulations might make it a lot easier for you to mail your favorite snuff to a fellow snuff enthusiast. From the Dank Basement, I'm Paul. Thanks for watching. I do appreciate your time.